Okay. Hi, Reed. I just wanted to give you just an example showing two different ways you can subtract mixed numbers. I saw you did really well on your quick check, and I saw you did very well on the unit test, but just in case, maybe you can use this for future reference if you'd like to. So I took this one from the actual test that you took. It says a baker used 5 7/10 bags of flour 1 week, and the same baker used 7 3/10 bags the next week, and they want to know how many more bags of flour did the baker use the second week than the first. So obviously, what we would do is we would try to find the difference. I shouldn't say obviously, but so we know that the second week he used 7 3/10 bags of flour. The first week he used 5 7/10. So there's two different ways to do this, and this first way I'll show you is kind of the easier way, and then the second way I'll show you the traditional way. So what I have here is I have a number line, and I'm going to divide up that number line into whole numbers. So I'm going to start here. I'm going to make this one a 3, and this is a whole number 4, 5, 6, 7, and this is number 8. And then if you can't tell, the amount of equal spaces between every whole number is 10. So I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And the reason it's like that is because our denominator, right? The denominator for each of these fractions is 10. So I need to show 10 equal parts. So first thing I need to do is I need to go find where is 7 3/10. I need to go find 7 3/10. So I go all the way to the number 7, and then I count 1, 2, 3. So this right here, that is 7 3/10. And then I need to find out where is 5 7/10. So I need to go to the number 5 and count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And so right here is 5 7/10. So far so good. Now what I need to do is I need to find out how far is it from 5 7/10. How far is it from here to here? What's the difference between the two? And to find the difference, we'll find out how far it is. So the first thing that I want to do is I want to count by tenths. How many tenths is it to the next whole number? So if I start at 5 7/10, I have to count 1, 2, 3. It's 3/10. So if I go 3 more tenths, I go from 5 7/8 up to 6. So here I am at 6. So now the next thing I have to do is I have to go from whole number to whole number. So I'm going to make a jump. So far I've gone 3/10. Now I'm going to go from 6 all the way to 7, and that's one whole. So that's how far I've gone, right? I've gone 3/10 plus I've gone one whole from 6 to 7. And now I can go back to counting how far it is to 7 3/10. So I started with 5 7/10. 1, 2, 3, 3 of those tenths plus 1. Now I'm going to go 1, 2, 3 more. So there's another 3/10. So now what I can do is I can add up all of my distances that I traveled on my number line. So I know I have a whole number of 1 plus I have 3/10 plus 3 more tenths. So that means I have 1 plus, so 3/10 plus 3/10. I know my denominator will be 10 because I'm adding fractions with a common denominator of 10. So I just add the numbers on top, 3 plus 3. So I have 1 6/10, or 1 plus 6/10, so it's 1 6/10 away. So if I was going to subtract 7 3/10, take away 5 7/10, I'm gonna the difference between the two is 1 6/10. And as you can see, that's this one right here, 1 6/10. Now, if I have enough time, I'm gonna show you how you would do it the traditional way. So I'm gonna give you that same problem right here. I'm gonna grab this. I'm gonna snip it. I'm gonna throw it on the other screen, just to show you that there's more than one way. The other way that I would do this one or I would solve this one, is I would take my 7 and my 3/10, I would subtract 5 and my 7/10, and this is where I would start. I would look at the fractions, and I realized if I want to subtract 7/10 from 3/10, I really can't do that because 7 is larger than 3. So what we learned is if you go to the next place value, which is the ones are the units over here, I can borrow. Let's borrow 1 from the 7. So I'm going to take away 1 from the 7, leaving me with 6. Now that I borrowed, the 1 that I just borrowed, the 1 whole, I'm going to give that 1 whole over to this fraction so that it can become larger so I can subtract from it. And I know I'm going to borrow 1 whole. I know my denominator has to be 10 because I want to give it a fraction. I want to regroup it or rename it as a fraction that has a denominator of 10 so I can add them together. And if I borrowed 1 whole, if I rename it or regroup it, I have to give it as a fraction as 1 whole, which would be 10 over 10. So now I'm going to rewrite this, and now I have the number 6, and my fraction is still going to have a denominator of 10. Now I add the numerators, 3 plus 10, which is 13. And then we can go ahead and subtract 5 and 7/10. Now again, we're subtracting fractions. The denominator is common, it's 10. 13 take away 7 is 6, and 6 take away 5 is 1. So that still takes us to this one right here. Okay, so I hope this is helpful. Again, if you don't like this version, this is probably another good one to do because using a number line is a great way to see where the numbers are, and then you can just count, kind of like adding the distance between the two, and then you can find the difference. So you find the distance, you'll find the difference. Okay, so I think the recording is about to cut off, but if you have any questions, just let me know, okay? Thanks, Reed, and thank you for coming to our lessons lately. It's always great when you're there.